The yellow school bus squeaked to a stop outside Maple Ridge Middle School, and every kid inside leaned closer to the windows as a skinny boy with tangled black hair stepped off clutching a worn backpack like it was a lifeline. His name was Zayn Malik, a quiet 12-year-old who had switched schools after his father took a night shift job in a nearby factory, hoping the fresh start would help Zayn forget the trouble he had left behind. As he crossed the parking lot, three eighth-grade boys known around campus as the Panthers, Rex, Milo, and Duke, watched him like cats stare at a cornered mouse, whispering mean jokes that made smaller kids scoot away. Zayn kept his head low, counting cracks in the pavement and reminding himself of Mom's advice to stay calm the first week. Yet his hands still curled into fists inside his sleeves out of old habit. Inside the noisy hallway, lockers slammed like cymbals, and Rex shoved past Zayn hard enough to make the backpack drop, scattering pencils that rolled between untied sneakers and candy wrappers. Giggles rose as Milo pointed a phone at Zayn, filming the scramble, while Duke kicked a blue notebook down the hall, yelling, "Oops, Butterfingers," in a sing-song tone that set off more laughter. Zayn exhaled, counted 3 slow breaths, then calmly picked up every pencil even as sneakers nudged his hands, because he knew from experience that real trouble started when tempers snapped too early. At homeroom, Mrs. Riley asked Zayn to introduce himself, and he spoke softly, saying he liked drawing comics and hoped to join the art club, ignoring the way Rex mimed yawning so wide his jaw might fall off. When the bell rang, Milo bumped Zayn again, whispering that art was for babies and asking if Zayn still slept with crayons, which drew snorts from nearby desks. Zayn walked to math class thinking about how bullies always smell the same, like stale gum and fear they hid under loud voices, and he wondered how long he could avoid proving he wasn't an easy target, especially since he had promised Mom to keep his record clean this year no matter what sparks flew. In math, Rex tossed tiny paper balls at Zayn's back, each one labeled loser in red ink, yet Zayn quietly collected them and stacked them like deadly snowballs on the corner of his desk. The teacher never noticed. She was busy drawing fractions on the board, so Rex grew bolder, flicking a rubber band that snapped against Zayn's ear and left a red sting that made nearby kids wince. Zayn's fingers twitched, remembering evenings in the old neighborhood gym where Coach Amir had drilled him in Muay Thai, teaching him that patience could be sharper than any kick. At lunch, the cafeteria hummed like a giant beehive, and Zayn sat alone with his homemade chicken sandwich while the Panthers strutted by, knocking over his water bottle so it soaked the bread. Duke leaned close and asked if Zayn was crying over soggy chicken, and Rex filmed again, hoping for a viral clip, yet Zayn only dabbed the table dry with napkins and stared into Rex's phone camera with calm brown eyes. Rex posted the clip to a group chat called Panther Prowl, writing, "New kid is made of tissue paper," not realizing many students were already tired of Panther drama. After school, Zayn waited near the bike racks, checking a hand-drawn map to find a route home, when the Panthers cornered him between dumpsters that smelled of sour milk. They demanded his lunch money even though school was over, laughing at their own joke, and Milo tried to yank the backpack away, but the strap barely moved because Zayn's grip turned iron tight. Rex shoved Zayn's shoulder, calling him a scarecrow, and Duke cracked his knuckles like thunder, yet Zayn only asked in a level voice if they were finished clowning for the day. The question confused them, so Rex poked Zayn's chest harder, saying, "What you gonna do, doodle me to death?" which made Milo laugh so hard he sprayed soda from his nose. Zayn sighed, set the backpack gently on the ground, and straightened to his full height, which was shorter than Rex yet suddenly looked unmovable, like a rooted tree. He warned them once that they should go home before someone got hurt, but the Panthers only jeered, clapping like an audience at a comedy club. Zayn's memories of Coach Amir flashed. Keep your guard up, breathe from the belly, strike only to stop the threat, and he felt the old calm settle over him like a warm jacket. Rex swung first, a wild punch meant for show, and Zayn slipped sideways so smoothly that Rex stumbled forward, crashing into the dumpster lid with a hollow clang. Milo tried next, lunging to grab, yet Zayn pivoted, guided Milo's arm past, and tapped the back of Milo's knee, so he folded like a lawn chair onto cardboard boxes. Duke, the biggest, charged with a roar, but Zayn met him with 2 quick palm strikes to the chest, stepping aside as Duke's momentum carried him into a pile of loose bikes that clattered like falling dominoes. The alley fell silent except for Duke's groan and the buzz of a streetlight flickering on above them, and Zayn picked up his backpack, dusting a smear of grime from the fabric. He told the Panthers to clean up the mess and treat people better if they wanted any friends, then walked away, leaving them blinking more from shock than pain. The next morning, the video of the alley fight, recorded by a hidden security camera, spread through the school like wildfire, showing Zayn moving faster than most kids could see. Some students cheered the clip, Others feared it, and the Panthers deleted their mocking post from the day before, but screenshots lived on, turning the tables of ridicule. In art class, Zane sketched a peaceful lake scene while whispers swirled about him being some kind of secret ninja, yet he kept his head low, pretending nothing had changed. Mrs. Riley announced a poster contest for the anti-bullying week, and Zane considered drawing 3 shadowy figures chasing a lone kid, then transforming into friends under a bright sun. At recess, Rex limped by with a faint bruise on his cheek, and when his eyes met Zane's, he looked down and muttered something that almost sounded like, "Sorry." Zane nodded once, not gloating, because Coach Amir had also taught him that victory tasted best when seasoned with mercy. Rumors grew wilder that Zane had won underground tournaments or that he trained with movie stars, but the truth was simpler. He just hated seeing people hurt and refused to be a victim again. By Friday, the principal asked Zane to join the peer leadership team to help design kindness campaigns, a request that made his mom smile proud tears at dinner. Zane agreed, hoping to turn his rough skills into gentle lessons, yet part of him stayed alert, knowing bullies sometimes came back like weeds after rain. In the hallway Monday, a smaller boy named Tarek whispered thanks to Zane for standing up to the Panthers, and Zane realized courage could spread like sunlight if shared. He promised Tarek a spot on his art project crew, picturing murals where fists turned into open hands, and the idea filled him with quiet hope. As the week ended, Zane tucked away the ache in his knuckles, reminding himself that true strength wasn't about fighting well, but about choosing the right moment to stop a fight before it could begin. Saturday morning arrived bright, and soft sunlight spilled through the curtains as Zane woke before dawn, tying his worn running shoes while the small apartment still slept, because running let him think without anyone staring. He jogged along River Road, counting lampposts the way other kids counted likes on their videos, and every measured breath reminded him that control started with calm lungs and steady feet. Halfway to the bridge, he paused to stretch, touching his toes and glancing at the mirrored water, where a curious duck paddled circles that broke the perfect reflection like tiny questions. Coach Amir's voice echoed in his mind, saying a warrior first beats chaos inside himself before facing chaos outside, so Zane inhaled the chilly air and let it sweep away doubt. Back at home, Mom was flipping flatbreads, and the spicy smell filled the kitchen like a warm blanket. She asked if school felt okay, and Zane answered with a shrug that fooled nobody. Mom set a plate before him and squeezed his shoulder, whispering that kindness could calm storms, but sometimes storms needed a firm wall, advice that clung to him like steam from the tea. After chores, he pulled an old sketchbook from a cupboard and drew a comic where a small dragon protected village kids from giant crows, giving the dragon bright, hopeful eyes like Tarek's. Each line he inked felt like weaving safety nets from ideas, and he pictured sharing the comic at art clubs so quiet kids might see themselves as brave dragons instead of easy prey. Later that afternoon, the doorbell rang, and to his surprise, Rex stood there holding Zane's blue notebook, edges taped, eyes down, shifting like someone standing on hot sand. Rex mumbled he had found it near the dumpster and thought Zane would want it back. Zane accepted it and thanked him without bitterness. Rex asked if the fight video could be deleted, fearing suspension, and Zane replied he had not filmed anything, so Rex should ask the cameras. Rex sighed, joked that the school was turning into a spy movie, and Zane did not laugh, but he also did not gloat, which puzzled the older boy. Mom called from the kitchen offering lemonade, and for a heartbeat Rex almost accepted, yet pride pulled him back and he left with a curt thanks. That evening, neighbors heard Rex's brothers teasing him about apologizing to the new kid, and the words drifted through the warm street like gossiping birds. Duke and Milo, annoyed that their leader looked soft, planned a comeback prank, deciding they would spray paint a huge cartoon of Zane on the locker room wall with the label Fraud Fighter. They met after dark behind the gym with rattling cans, but sparks from a nearby power box startled them, and they dropped one can that hissed neon paint all over Duke's shoes, sending them home early. On Monday, the Panthers avoided Zane, yet their eyes glinted with schemes, and Zane sensed the tension like the buzzing before a bee sting, choosing to keep watch without striking first. During science class, the teacher announced a group project on simple machines, assigning random teams, and fate paired Zane with Milo, whose smirk froze the moment their names were read together. In the lab, Milo twirled a screwdriver like it was a switchblade, mocking the assignment, while Zane calmly organized pulleys and levers, explaining step by step how they could build a model crane. Other groups whispered, expecting fireworks, but instead they saw Zane treat Milo like a partner, praising a clever hinge suggestion, which made Milo blink as if unfamiliar with friendly words. The bell rang, and Milo left without a comment, though he pocketed the screwdriver instead of spinning it, and that tiny silence felt louder than any insult he had thrown before. After school, Coach Day, who ran self-defense club, cornered Zane at the lockers, saying rumors claimed Zane could teach half the football team how to pivot better than their drills. Coach invited him to demonstrate footwork during Wednesday practice, promising volunteer credit instead of detention if the principal ever asked, and the offer pulled a shy smile from Zane. That night, he practiced combinations in the living room, moving furniture aside, while Mom counted beats with a wooden spoon, laughing when the ceiling light shook like a timid disco ball. Across town, Duke watched tutorials on street wrestling, convinced he could learn counters before Wednesday, typing furious comments under every video that suggested patience and discipline. Wednesday arrived hot and bright, and Zane stepped onto the football field, wearing borrowed cleats that felt like clown shoes. Yet once he planted, his stance settled smooth as wet cement. Players twice his size rushed to tackle dummies, but Coach Day waved Zane forward to show a pivot inside kick that used an opponent's charge against them, and jaws dropped when the dummy flipped easily. Milo, standing with the team, swallowed hard, remembering being flipped into cardboard days earlier, and for the first time he considered that learning might be mocking. Duke lurked near the bleachers filming on his phone, planning another hit piece. Yet when Zane finished and bowed politely, many players clapped, blocking Duke's view with broad shoulders. Coach thanked Zane and declared that respect was earned by effort, not volume, words that fluttered across the field like bright banners visible to every student milling nearby. That afternoon, the guidance counselor, Mrs. Ortiz, asked Zane to speak at assembly about resilience, offering index cards, but he set them aside, saying stories should come from the heart, not a script. Assembly day packed the gym with restless kids, and when Zane walked to the microphone, the chatter died, not from fear but from curiosity about a boy who could draw dragons and dodge punches. He told them about learning balance by stacking bricks on a board in Coach Amir's gym, how one careless push collapsed everything, and how that felt like bullying. One shove could ruin someone's day. He explained that fighting back was not his first choice, but kindness had limits, and every person had the right to stand firm like those bricks once the board steadied. As he spoke, Rex sat in the back row gripping the repaired blue notebook, reading the dragon comic inside, seeing himself in the foolish crows, face reddening as understanding grew. When Zane finished, applause rolled like thunder, and even teachers looked surprised at the unity in that sound, while Milo chewed his lip, thinking of his own kid brother entering 6th grade next year. After dismissal, Tarek and two friends asked Zane for kicking lessons, and he agreed on one condition. They must also volunteer for the kindness poster drive, a tray they accepted happily. Behind the gym, Duke confronted Rex, blaming him for turning soft, but Rex finally snapped that strength without honor was hollow, and Duke froze as if the words struck harder than any fist. That evening, Zane logged onto the school forum and found a new thread started by Rex titled Lessons Learned, where Rex admitted being wrong and offered to return stolen items, shocking everyone. Zane replied with a simple thumbs-up emoji, feeling a cautious hope bloom, because sometimes the toughest battles ended not with punches but with people choosing to rewrite their own stories. The next week, Maple Ridge buzzed about the big fall fair, and every class had to build a science stall, so teams needed trust fast, with chatter bouncing off lockers like bright ping-pong balls all morning long. Mrs. Riley grouped Zane, Rex, Milo, Duke, Tarek, and shy twins Nawal and Sanaa on a marble run maze that had to ring a brass bell at the end, a tricky project teachers warned would test patience more than physics. Many kids predicted fireworks, yet Zane greeted each teammate with a steady nod he used before sparring, then unrolled blank chart paper across two desks so everyone could sketch wild ideas instead of bickering about ownership. Rex surprised them by pointing to Zane's comic where a tiny dragon deflected crow attacks with mirrors, suggesting angled metal strips could guide their steel marble through sharp turns without losing speed. Milo raided the cafeteria for empty pizza boxes to cut into sturdy ramps, and Duke volunteered his father's power drill, eager to prove he could build things up, not just knock things down like before. Visitors peeking in expected shouting but heard only pencil scratches, scissor snips, and laughter whenever glue strings clung to noses or eyelashes, a peaceful rhythm nobody associated with the old Panthers. Zane coached them to roll the marble in slow motion, calling one Mississippi, two Mississippi, timing stalls on Milo's phone, turning past rivalries into playful races against a ticking stopwatch graphic. During lunch, he taught Tarek and the twins basic footwork beside the bleachers, their sneakers squeaking on polished wood, and their bubbly giggles melted more walls than any lecture on kindness could manage. Coach Day strolled past, winked, and Mrs. Ortiz snapped photos of Duke kneeling to tape Nawal's ramp, an image that later made the school blog headline, "Teamwork turns Panthers into problem solvers." A harsh wind rattled windows that evening, So crates went into the janitor's closet for safety, and Duke locked up, feeling proud the teacher trusted him with keys even after last month's hallway scuffle. At midnight, his cousins dared him by text to ditch the project for arcade night, but he muted the phone, biked to school through chilly fog, and checked every crate himself, heart booming like a bass drum. Fair morning, the gym smelled of fresh paint and cinnamon buns as parents filled creaky bleachers, and the team rolled in a silver snake of ramps perched on painted pizza box mountains topped with tiny flags. Colorful banners fluttered overhead while rivals whispered the Panthers would flop, yet Zane bowed to the judges first, then introduced each teammate, sharing speaking parts so no single voice owned the spotlight. Nawal explained gravitational potential energy, voice soft but steady because Rex steadied the poster, and Milo tapped a remote that lit rainbow LEDs under clear tracks, drawing astonished ooze like New Year fireworks. The marble zipped down the first slope, swung on Milo's magnet arm, shot through Duke's dragon-painted tunnel, and tapped the bell with a crisp ding that echoed longer than the school anthem. Cheers thundered through the gym, and a sixth grader in the front row shouted that science had never looked so cool, making Zane grin wider than he had since stepping off the bus weeks ago. First place for creativity and teamwork went to Maple Ridge Marbles, a name Nawal had whispered on day one, and Rex almost dropped the trophy because his hands shook with happy disbelief instead of fear. Principal Hughes handed Zane a blue ribbon and murmured that courage repairs hallways faster than fresh paint, while Mom waved both arms like twin windmills spinning in a summer storm. After photos, Duke tugged Zane's sleeve, mumbling he'd erased every alley fight clip and wanted real Muay Thai lessons if Coach Amir would accept another humble beginner. Zane promised to ask, and Duke's shoulders sagged with relief like tight ropes finally cut, his grin small but honest. Milo bought 3 cupcakes, passing one to Tarek and one to an elderly volunteer he once teased, discovering generosity tasted sweeter than double frosting and lasted longer too. That evening, Rex filmed a short apology for Panther Prowl, declaring the group would now protect, not prowl, then invited followers to join a charity fun run for the city's shelter. Heart emojis and thumbs UPS flooded the post faster than any bully meme ever had, and Milo admitted kindness pulled better numbers than cruelty, a lesson he planned to keep. The gleaming marble run took a place in the library showcase, and Zane sketched a new comic panel where the dragon shared crumbs with once grumpy crows who now wore party hats. Sanaa colored wide sunbeams that made the drawing glow under real case lights, catching every passerby's eye like a living lantern. Monday morning, Mrs. Riley announced a pyramid or pilot program and chose Zane, Rex, and Milo as the first leaders, a decision that sent whispers racing faster than lunchtime rumors. Excitement fizzed like soda. Kids who once avoided the Panthers now crowded their lunch table, hungry for stories of how a fight flipped into friendship within 2 whirlwind weeks. At recess, Tarek smashed his mile record using Zane's breathing tips, and classmates cheered as if he had sunk a buzzer beater in a championship game. Coach Day opened free clinics, letting Zane lead warm-ups, his steady counting echoing across the parking lot where parents waiting in cars tapped along on steering wheels. Teachers joined stretches too. One joking wrist escapes might help when sifting paper mountains, turning gym time into a campus-wide in-joke. After history class, Zane found an anonymous locker note from a student who hid at lunch, asking if dragons could guard shy kids as well. He drew a dragon hugging a tiny stick figure labeled Safe Space and pinned it on the mental health board, sparking a blizzard of similar art from other quiet creators. The principal approved a kindness mural outside, and the entire homeroom painted all Saturday, while Milo's speaker blasted upbeat playlists and birds chirp along from oak branches. Neighbors honked supportive car horns, toddlers chalked rainbow flowers at the dragon's feet, and the once plain wall turned into a street festival canvas. At sunset, the dragon seemed to rise from fiery colors yet kept gentle eyes, proof that power blended with kindness becomes sturdy safety for everyone. Rex set up a tripod and snapped wide photos, including Janitor Lee, who loaned buckets and ladders without asking any credit, though Rex gave him the front row spot. As the shutter clicked, Zane breathed deep, capturing a victory of hearts as sharply as any gleaming trophy, memorizing the roar of shared pride. He recognized the mural as a promise that halls once filled with taunts now carried warm greetings, a promise needing vigilant guardians ready to act if shadows crept back. That night he messaged Coach Amir describing every change. The reply arrived quick: "True fighters build peace after battles end, and you, my student, are building big." The text glowed on his phone like a tiny metal pin to his thoughts, warm and steady. Reading it, Zane closed his sketchbook, certain new tests would come, yet a strong team now stood beside him, ready to meet each challenge with steady breath and open hands. October arrived with crisp leaves skittering across the playground, and Maple Ridge buzzed about soccer season, while the kindness mural behind the gym still smelled of fresh paint. Coach Day entered them in a friendly tournament against Riverwood Prep, whose players were known for roughness, and he asked Zane plus the reformed Panthers to drill younger kids every morning. At dawn, Zane set orange cones on the wet grass, guiding Tarek and the twins through zigzags while Rex timed sprints and Milo handed out free hot chocolate from the cafeteria. Duke, proud of being helpful, patched the torn soccer nets with his uncle's fishing line, humming softly because no one mocked his careful knots anymore. During a break, Zane noticed two tall strangers watching over the chain-link fence, their dark hoodies pulled low, and a prickling instinct told him these were not curious parents but older boys hunting for easy targets. Later in the hallway, Rex whispered that the strangers were Riverwood 8th graders famous for streaming prank fights, boasting they would teach Maple Ridge kids a lesson after school on Friday by the riverbank. He gathered the team in a semicircle and said courage grows when friends stand shoulder to shoulder, turning fear into teamwork instead of lonely worry. He reminded them that fighting was last choice, but preparation was never wasted, so they rehearsed calm breathing, clear speaking, and walking in groups, turning fear into a checklist instead of a shadowy monster. Thursday, the principal let Zane write a safety plan for teachers, a new pressure that made his stomach wobble with nervous pride, yet showed staff trusted his judgment. At dinner, Mom heard the draft, nodded at the simple steps, stay visible, keep phones handy, call an adult, and said good plans light dark paths like lanterns. Friday crept in gray and windy, papers spiraling down hallways like restless butterflies, and whispers about the riverbank showdown grew louder than morning announcements despite teachers' efforts to hush them. After the final bell, Rex, Milo, and Duke marched beside Zane, each carrying a soccer ball as an excuse to be near the park, determined to stand peaceful but united, though their hands trembled in side jacket pockets. The group crossed Maple Street where old maples rattled and dropped seeds that spun like tiny helicopters, a reminder from nature that small shapes can hide surprising strength. At the riverbank, a cluster of Riverwood boys lounged on graffitied tables, phones recording, and their tall leader Brick smirked when he spotted Zane's steady team. Brick mocked Duke's paint-flecked shoes and Milo's mismatched gloves, trying to spark anger, but Zane greeted him politely, offering a spare ball and suggesting a friendly match instead of pointless shoves. Cameras zoomed closer, expecting fists, yet Brick laughed and punted the ball into the water, cheering when it bobbed away, thinking he had won the first round without swinging. Zane watched the ripples, breathing slow, then produced a second ball from Rex's backpack, explaining they always carried extras because planning beats boasting, and some Maple Ridge kids giggled at Brick's sour face. Zane suggested a wager, play to 5 goals, losers post an apology online, winners buy pizza for both teams. Brick's crew, trapped by live cameras, nodded. The match began rough. Brick shoved Rex off the ball, earning boos from spectators, but the referee, Coach Day, who had followed quietly, blew a whistle sharp enough to slice tension, warning that dirty play meant instant forfeit. With rules clear, the game flowed like a comic strip. Tarek darted. Sanaa blocked shots though half Brick's size, and Zane guided passes with calm shouts, his reflexes shaping perfect footwork. Duke surprised everyone by stealing the ball from Brick, using a spin he learned during Muay Thai drills, and scored the first goal, raising painless cheers that echoed under the bridge. Riverwood equalized quickly, yet frustration etched lines on Brick's brow as Maple Ridge players bounced up smiling after each hard tackle, unfazed because they had practiced falling safely on gym mats all week. At 3-3, Brick hacked Zane's ankle in anger, but Zane rolled, popped up, and offered a hand instead of a glare, which puzzled Brick more than any counterkick could have managed. The kindness wobbled Brick's confidence, and his next pass flew wild, letting Milo intercept, lofting to Rex, who headed the ball into the net so cleanly even Riverwood watchers clapped despite team loyalty. 4-3 turned into 4-4 when Brick blasted a rocket past Tarek, yet he paused to catch breath, seeing Zane smile lightly as a pressure tasted sweet like candy. Final play, Zane faked right, slid left, threading between 2 defenders, and gently tapped the ball to Duke, who gently tapped it back, teamwork flowing smoother than morning sketch lines. Zane could have shot but instead nudged to Sanaa, giving the shy twin a moment in spotlight. She struck, the net rippled, and Maple Ridge erupted, swarming her with cheers that drowned a river's roar. Silence fell on Riverwood's side except for Brick's heavy breathing. He glanced at fans still recording, knowing excuses would look weak against clear scoreboards. Coach Day extended a hand, reminding Brick of the wager. Brick swallowed pride thicker than river mud, stepped forward, and shook Zane's palm while mumbled cameras captured every word of apology. Brick announced on live stream he respected Maple Ridge hustle and would donate pizza to Monday's art club, and viewers spammed clapping emojis, turning his defeat into unexpected charity. Zane thanked him and invited Riverwood players to the kindness mural painting next weekend, promising extra brushes. Some laughed awkwardly, but nods spread like dominoes, tipping toward better choices. Back at school Monday, 3 pizza boxes arrived with a note, "Good game, Brick," and the cafeteria smelled glorious as art club shared slices with teachers, custodians, and even the janitorial cat Mr. Whiskers. Principal Hughes read Brick's apology aloud during announcements, praising sportsmanship, and students cheered louder for pizza than for any holiday song rehearsal. That afternoon, Zane sat under the dragon mural, sketching new panels where rival crows and dragons played soccer under shared clouds, labeling the speech bubbles with jokes everyone could read. Rex filmed a time-lapse of the drawing for Maple Ridge's social feed, adding upbeat music, and views rocketed beyond anything Panther Prowl had reached in its mocking days. Milo tallied comments showing other schools begging for mural matches, and Duke suggested a district kindness league, his eyes shimmering with dreams bigger than any alley fight. Coach Day and Mrs. Ortiz met after hours, planning grants for sports art fusion events, noting Zane's name under student advisory, a role he accepted with humble nod and silently buzzing excitement. As autumn deepened, orange sunsets painted the courtyard, and every time wind rustled leaves, students now thought of teamwork instead of threats, because one peaceful match reshaped an entire rumor mill. Zane placed the river-stained soccer ball beside the Marble Run trophy under a sign reading, "Proof that real strength scores respect, not bruises, a lesson shinier than gold." He walked home under quiet stars, sure respect would grow. Talent show posters flapped on hallway corkboards like bright flags, promising each ticket would buy a heavy blanket for a family who lacked heat when deep snow arrived. At lunch, Mrs. Riley asked the group to headline the talent show by drawing a giant live comic on the projector, while Rex mixed beats. Milo ran lights, Duke set props, and twins Nawal and Sanaa brushed bursts of color. Zane gulped but accepted, sketching a tale where a gentle dragon melts icy walls in a frozen city so lonely kids can step into warm sunlight and meet new friends. They named the act Firelight Friends and rehearsed daily, taping long paper across the art room while Tarek practiced clear narration any third grader could follow. Coach Day loaned wrestling mats so they could kneel without bruises. Their socked feet squeaked on vinyl while marker fumes drifted like pine. Duke wanted fog, but safety rules said no, so he built small fans with silver streamers that fluttered whenever Milo's lights flashed. Milo found colored bulbs in the drama closet and coated them to pulse reds, blues, and golds with Rex's drum loops, making each drawing look alive. Zane insisted the audience should feel hugged by color and sound, just like he felt when Coach Amir said a fighter's heart could shine brighter than any metal. On the final Friday, Principal Hughes let them test in the dark auditorium, and teachers gasped when the dragon's outline filled the 3-story curtain from claw to tail. Rex triggered a gentle drum loop. Lights shifted from polar blue to campfire orange, and the dragon unfurled wings while bold lines snapped into place. Mrs. Ortiz dabbed a happy tear, whispering that bright ink can reach young hearts better than long lectures, and Zane's marker paused as pride sparked inside his chest. Backstage, Milo filmed a teaser called Blankets of Bravery that got 200 likes before dinner, even from Riverwood rivals asking for ticket links. Brick, their former foe, left 3 clapping emojis and a fire icon, and Duke replied with a thumbs-up gif of the dragon breathing hearts. Soft snowflakes drifted past windows like lazy feathers, so the team spent recess cutting paper snow monsters the dragon would melt during the show. Nawal and Sanaa giggled whenever glue stuck to their knuckles, proving joy is the strongest glue of all. That evening, Zane practiced narration in the mirror, smoothing phrases so even first graders could follow along. Mom suggested adding a line where the dragon thanks helpers, and Zane penciled it in at once. Dress rehearsal arrived. Rex said stage fright was static. Store the charge and shine. House lights dimmed, Tarek's voice rolled, and panel 1 showed lonely kids shivering outside a dark castle drawn in chilly blues. Panel 2 bloomed gold as the dragon entered, streamers fluttering like breath, and even football players cheered. A marker slipped toward the pit, yet Rex caught it mid-beat, and teachers thought it was planned. Panel 3 showed walls melting into pools that reflected smiling versions of each child, simple for toddlers yet powerful for teens. Janitors clapped with brooms raised, calling it better than last year's juggling math teachers. That night a window burst, knocking paint cans over half the rollout paper, a disaster Duke found at dawn. He video called the team. Zane said heroes adjust like fighters dodging a curved punch. They reached school early, taped fresh sheets, and by first bell, no one knew trouble had tiptoed in. Rex joked the spilled paint was just the dragon sneezing, melting the last bits of tension. Show night came under starry skies, and ticket lines wrapped the building, rumors spreading like cozy fire. Inside, Milo's fairy lights draped rafters while cookie scents from PDA tables wrapped the gym in sugary warmth. Zane peeked out, heart pounding, but his friends standing shoulder to shoulder shoved fear aside. The announcer welcomed Firelight friends, house lights fell, and hush blanketed the bleachers. Panel 1 unfurled, Tarek narrated frost-nipped noses, and the dragon's roar matched a cymbal crash, turning faces rosy. Panel 2 glimmered with teamwork scenes, and cheers popped even though the act was only halfway done. Panel 3 sent felt squares drifting from the balcony like mini blankets, landing on parents' laps to delighted gasps. Panel 4 ended with Zane lettering, "Worn hearts change cold worlds," his hand trembling but steady. Applause thundered, donation jars filled faster than any halftime hat pass, and Principal Hughes flashed thumbs up while counting notes and coins. Backstage, Zane's knees wobbled, yet Duke hugged him as silver streamers fell like a soft snow of victory. Mrs. Riley burst through the curtains to announce they would headline the District Fine Arts Gala, and quiet Tarek cheered so loud the drape fluttered. Walking home under moonlit clouds, Zane pinched a felt square, realizing every tough fight and spilled paint had led to gentle warmth now spreading through town. He tucked the square into his sketchbook, smiling at tomorrow's pages where dragons and classmates would roam beyond Maple Ridge, sharing brave blankets of kindness wherever winter tried to bite. Snow deepened in December, frosting Maple Ridge rooftops like powdered sugar, and the kindness mural now shone beneath icicle fringe, making passers-by pause and grin even on bone-cold mornings. Principal Hughes announced a District Fine Arts Gala at the Civic Center downtown, asking Firelight friends to reopen the show, and the news spread across lockers like confetti caught in winter wind. Zane's crew met in the library to plan, spreading sketch pads, light boards, and Rex's beat machine on a table that shook whenever old heaters clanked alive, making dust motes glitter like tiny stars. Nawal suggested turning their blanket theme into moving shadow puppets, so every blanket transformed into a cape of courage swirling around shy kids on screen, drawing smiles from students nearby. Duke measured cardboard sheets with a ruler borrowed from math class, marking spots for hidden rods while explaining lever principles aloud, proud of using numbers for art instead of old hallway pranks. Tarek practiced smoother storylines, trimming tricky words so second graders at the gala could follow without grown UPS whispering explanations. Milo rewired stage lights to fade softer between scenes, learning safe voltage limits from the physics teacher, who smiled at hands-on curiosity and compared their teamwork to a living circuit of trust. After school, the twins sketched dragon silhouettes with thick markers that squeaked like friendly mice, laughing whenever lines wiggle-wobbled off course. Zane watched them and felt a warm glow, remembering arriving alone weeks ago with fists clenched, yet now his hands itched only to help and draw brighter worlds. He drafted a finale panel where Riverwood rivals and Maple Ridge players shared cocoa under a giant quilt stitched with bright team emblems while falling snowflakes sparkled like crystal confetti. Brick texted a thumbs up, promising his squad would cheer from row 3, signaling grudges could thaw like snowballs left too long in sun, and the message buzzed cheerful in Zane's pocket. The city bus ride to rehearsals was long and cold, but pop songs from Rex's phone turned each trip into rolling karaoke, loud enough that even serious commuters cracked smiles. One icy evening attire hissed flat halfway, yet Duke cracked jokes about heroic feet marching over glaciers, and the crew walked the last mile singing louder to keep spirits high and blood warm. At the Civic Center, huge velvet curtains smelled of dust and history, and Zane's heartbeat thumped like a bass drum when he first stepped onto the wide, polished stage. Stage manager Ms. Lee handed them badges that read Featured Artist, a title heavier than any medal Zane had dreamed of during gym sparring, and he bowed in thanks. They taped white paper rolls the size of garage doors across the back wall, anchoring edges with sandbags borrowed from stagehands who winked at the tiny warriors bringing color to the grand hall. Milo tested a snowflake projector, sending glowing flakes swirling over empty seats, and he squeaked with joy when they landed across Duke's nose like playful ghosts of winter. Nawal climbed a rickety ladder to adjust top corners, and Zane steadied the base with iron grip, his watchful eyes scanning for wobble, living Coach Amir's lesson that true strength guards others first. Rehearsal began. Tarek's voice echoed smooth as hot chocolate, guiding the story of blankets into friendship while Rex layered gentle drum taps beneath, weaving sound and shadow. Shadow puppets dance across panels, capes billowing bravely, and Milo's lights tinted edges gold, turning plain cardboard into shimmering magic. Ms. Lee clapped hard, declaring the act kid-friendly yet powerful for grown hearts too, and her praise wrapped the crew like an extra scarf against doubt. Outside, city snowplows grumbled past, and Rex filmed a 30-second teaser that reached 2,000 views overnight, comments bursting with sparkle emojis and heart flames. Zane read one from a younger student saying he felt brave already, and it made Zane's chest flutter with grateful pride mixed with a soft worry about meeting such high hopes. The night before the gala, power blinked at Maple Ridge, killing heaters and lights, leaving classrooms cold as freezers while winds howled like wolves along rattling gutters. Principal Hughes called an emergency meeting. Blankets bought from the talent show sat boxed in storage, and Zane proposed delivering them to elderly neighbors immediately to turn crisis into kindness. In minutes, the crew loaded boxes onto Coach Day's pickup, and snow peppered their coats as they trudged porch to porch, handing out warmth packaged in bright purple ribbon that fluttered wildly. Old Mrs. Kahn cried happy tears when Duke tucked a blanket over her shaking shoulders, and she pressed a candy bar into his hand despite his gentle protests, calling him a tall snow angel. By midnight, the stock was gone, yet hearts were hotter than summer pavement, and Zane realized kindness burns clean, needing no fuel but willpower and shared purpose. Next morning, rosy dawn crept over Frost, and the Civic Center buzzed like a beehive, volunteers sliding glossy programs onto cushioned seats while speakers tested gentle jingles. Backstage, Milo noticed the final roll of paper had wrinkled from transport, threatening crisp lines, but Zane whispered they would adapt like water filling new shapes, calm and sure. They ironed the sheet with hairdryers borrowed from dressing rooms, and the warm air smelled of lavender hairspray and popcorn, turning the hectic moments surprisingly calming to their jittery nerves. Audience doors opened, families in coats shuffled inside, breath puffing in silver clouds until heaters roared alive, and soon chatter filled the hall with cozy storm noise. Rex peeked through curtain gaps, spotting Coach Amir near the aisle, his proud grin visible even from stage lights, a beacon steadying Zane's racing thoughts before the show. At Showtime, house lights dimmed, Tarek inhaled, and the first panel sprang to life, blues and purples showing lonely figures in swirling snow as soft drums thudded like winter hearts. Sentence by sentence, blankets grew into capes, capes into bridges, bridging tiny islands of fear until one wide land of shared laughter emerged across the paper horizon, bright as sunrise. Bricks Row cheered loudest when Coco's scene appeared on the giant screen, and Rex's remix dropped a playful beat that made toddlers bounce while teens waved phone flashlights. For the finale, Zane lettered, "Carry fire, not fists," in bold orange strokes, and the words glowed under golden spots, reflecting in wet eyes all the way to the balcony's highest row. Applause rolled like thunder over a calm ocean, standing ovations swelling, and programs fluttered like bright birds as every guest rose, stamping boots in rhythm. Ms. Lee handed Zane a glass plaque etched with Gala Star, but he raised it with both hands toward his friends because fists look better open when holding joy together under stage glow. As they exited into night air, snowflakes danced around streetlights, and Zane breathed deep, certain that no bully, storm, or shaky ladder could dim a team that fought darkness by painting paths of gentle fire. March sunlight finally won the fight against freezing winds, so Maple Ridge planned a huge spring share fair, where every club showed one project and visitors could donate books, clothes, or time to town shelters, turning the school's halls into colorful rivers of giving that sparkled brighter than any holiday lights. Principal Hughes asked Firelight friends to close the fair with a short talk and a live art piece about courage after winter storms, and Zane said yes, even though his voice trembled, because he knew brave choices sometimes begin with shaky breaths. The crew met after classes every day, spreading new paper across the hallway floor, and they invited anyone passing by to draw one tiny symbol of kindness, so soon dragons, soccer balls, cocoa mugs, and shy smiles filled the giant scroll like shining puzzle pieces waiting to fit together. Brick's Riverwood squad visited on a Saturday, lugging boxes of used comics and sports gear for the donation drive, and they laughed with Rex over old prank videos, proving laughter can sand sharp edges off bad memories if people let it. Duke built a rolling frame for the kindness scroll using scrap wood and skateboard wheels, explaining lever balance to eager fourth graders who clapped when a heavy frame glided as smooth as a cloud across the gym floor. Milo programmed smart bulbs borrowed from the theater club to track the scroll's movement, casting warm yellows on drawings of hope and cool blues on sections showing fear conquered, turning every color shift into a gentle lesson without any boring speech. Tarek rewrote the narration again, trimming long words so even first graders could follow, and he practiced in the mirror each morning, while his little sister giggled at his brave stage voice that boomed from tiny lungs. Nawal and Sanaa tested new metallic markers, their lines shining like tiny mirrors under gym lights, and students lining up for lunch stopped just to watch silver dragons chase blue wolves across the paper horizon. Coach Day offered to add a short self-defense demo before the art roll began, saying it would remind everyone that strong bodies and strong hearts work best as one team, and Zayn agreed, thinking of Coach Amir's first lesson on balanced life. The night before the fair, a sudden rainstorm rattled windows, flooding old gutters and dripping onto part of the scroll left near an open vent, smearing 5 students' drawings into soggy blurs that looked like melted crayons. Tears welled into Wall's eyes, but Zayn whispered that real heroes patch stories, not panic, and Duke grabbed towels while Milo angled fans, the group working like emergency surgeons until the paper dried enough to redraw. Brick's crew appeared unasked, bringing extra markers and hot cocoa, and together they redrew every lost symbol even brighter, proving storms can ruin paper but never ruin teamwork that refuses to quit. By dawn, the scroll looked brand new, and Principal Hughes found the tired artists asleep on gym mats, colored streaks across their cheeks. The finished scroll rolled neat beside them like a giant secret gift waiting for ribbons. Share Fair Day smelled of fresh flowers and bookstore coffee, parents carrying boxes of novels while kids balanced stuffed animals for donation, the buzz of giving louder than the school bell ever managed. Brick and Duke greeted visitors at the door, high-fiving tiny kindergartners and guiding grandparents with walkers, their polite voices so steady no one would guess they once hunted for fights beside dumpsters. In Science Corner, Rex and Milo showed younger students how simple circuits power the glowing mural, lighting tiny bulbs when gentle hands completed the loop, teaching that kindness, like electricity, moves best when everyone links together. Tarek hosted Storytelling Circle, reading Firelight Friends comics aloud while using funny voices. Even the stern math teacher chuckled when Tarek made a dragon sneeze glitter words across the page. Afternoon sunlight slanted into the gym as Coach Day clapped for silence, introducing Zayn's self-defense demo, and gasps rose when Zayn flipped a padded dummy with a slow, clear motion, then bowed to show control beats fury every time. He asked volunteers to practice safe falling, and giggling students rolled across mats, learning that getting up quickly matters more than never falling, a lesson that shone brighter on their faces than any trophy polish could. The lights dimmed, Milo's calm soundtrack drifted, and the huge kindness scroll began to unroll across Duke's wheeled frame, silver markers catching spotlights like shooting stars dancing along the gym walls. The first section showed a small boy wrapped in fists of fear under cold rain, and Tarek narrated how mocking words could feel heavier than steel, every phrase simple yet strong, so young listeners leaned forward with wide eyes. Next came friends offering warm blankets, soccer balls, and bright sketchbooks, each gift painted by different students' hands, proving that many styles can join into one story if respect holds the seams. The scroll rolled on to a dragon breathing gentle fire that melted thick ice around a lonely school, and markers glittered when lights shifted to warm tones, the crowd's soft sighs filling the space like candle glow. A panel drawn by Brick showed 2 rival teams shaking hands over a soccer ball, and cheers erupted when Riverwood players in the audience waved, their proud smiles reflecting off phone screens recording the moment. Then came drawings of canned food pyramids, blanket mountains, and book towers, each stack sprouting cartoon wings to fly into needy homes, the silly pictures making toddlers laugh while parents wiped moist eyes. One small white square remained blank by mistake, and Zayn paused the frame, inviting anyone brave to finish the story. A first grader named Layla tiptoed forward, drew a heart with tiny loops, and the room clapped thunder so loud it rattled bleachers. The finale showed sunrise over Maple Ridge, bright letters spelling "Carry fire, not fists," and Milo timed golden spotlights to pulse with Rex's final drum beats, making the letters glow like real embers in calm morning air. Applause exploded, a sea of bright winter coats bouncing, and programs fluttered again, sounding like friendly wings as everyone stood, shouting thanks instead of simple claps. Principal Hughes announced that donations hit triple the target, enough for blankets, library books, and new sports gear, and Coach Day winked at Zayn, mouthing, "Power of gentle fire." Reporters snapped photos of the crew, holding the scroll ends open as neighbors posed beneath, and a local paper later titled the article "From Bullies to Builders," sealing their journey in black and white ink. When crowds thinned, Brick handed Zayn a small patch embroidered with Riverwood's wolf logo merging into Maple Ridge's dragon, saying every good story needs a sequel of unity, and Zayn accepted with wide grin. That evening, volunteers loaded donations into trucks, and Mrs. Riley let students ride along to deliver. Duke carried boxes to the senior center, while Milo showed residents how color-changing lights could cheer cloudy afternoons. At the last stop, Zane gave Mrs. Khan a special comic drawn just for her, pages filled with brave cats and friendly snow angels, and she kissed his forehead, calling him grandson of her heart. Walking home under crisp stars, the crew talked about middle school graduation coming soon, wondering if new kids would need guides, and Zane promised that dragons never retire from